My name's Maya Henley. I'm 28, and until last Saturday, I thought I was just the forgotten niece in a wealthy, complicated family. Turns out I'm something worse. A prop. Let me back up. Every summer, my Uncle Victor throws this massive charity cookout at his ranch in Driftwood, Texas. You've probably seen it on social media. Kids running through sunflower fields, long wooden tables under fairy lights, and that perfectly staged family unity photo where everyone's all smiles. But here's what those glossy pictures don't show. The whispered judgments, the fake smiles that drop the second the cameras stop clicking, and the fact that some of us don't even get a seat at the real table. I'm the daughter of Victor's older brother, Daniel. The family disappointment, who walked away from their multi-million-dollar organic grocery empire to make indie documentaries about climate change. He died in a car accident when I was 12, my mom passed a year later, and just like that, I became Victor's charity case. He took me in, sure, but not out of love, out of image control. For years, I played my part. Stood quietly at his charity galas, smiled next to oversized donation checks, wore whatever frilly dress his wife Charlotte picked out for me. I thought that was normal. That was family. Until last Saturday. This year's cookout was bigger than ever. Victor's got late-stage cancer, and there's a lot of buzz about his upcoming legacy announcement. People were whispering that he's finally settling his estate. Everyone was dressed like they were auditioning for a Ralph Lauren ad, but behind those linen shirts and wide-brimmed hats, it was all eyes on Victor and his fortune. Midway through the event, I brought a hand-carved wooden box to my granddad, who's in hospice now, barely hanging on. Inside was a collection of old photos I'd restored, memories from the original ranch before it became a backdrop for Instagram influencers. That's when Wendy, Victor's sister-in-law, swirled her wine, looked me up and down, and dropped the bomb loud enough for half the garden to hear. "You think that box makes you special, honey? You're just a charity case. Victor took you in because it made him look good. Everyone here knows it." Silence. The kind of silence that makes your ears ring. Victor didn't say a word, just stood across the patio, swirling his bourbon like he hadn't just heard my entire existence be reduced to a PR move. I wanted to disappear, but something in me snapped instead. I walked straight into the old garden shed, this beat-up little place on the far end of the property. It's where I used to hide when the galas got too loud or the house felt too cold. And that's where I found it. Hidden behind a stack of broken chairs was my grandfather's old cedar chest. I don't even know what made me pry it open, but inside, a sealed envelope. Heavy cream paper, my name scrawled in that shaky handwriting I'd know anywhere. For Maya, when the time is right. My hands were trembling so bad I could barely open it. And what I read in that letter changed everything I thought I knew about my place in this family. But I'll tell you right now, what's written in that letter? It's going to burn this family to the ground. I don't even remember walking back to the house. One second, I was in that dusty old shed with my grandfather's letter burning holes through my hands, and the next, I was standing on the back porch, staring out at a sea of people who'd spent years smiling at me like I was invisible. I should have waited, should have thought it through. But after a lifetime of swallowing every insult, every dismissive glance, I wasn't about to let them control the narrative one more time. I marched straight into the garden where Victor was holding court like some dying king, basking in the adoration of people who only loved him as long as his bank account stayed full. "Victor," I said, my voice louder than I expected. "Did you forget to mention something in your big family announcement?" His smile barely wavered, but I saw his jaw tighten. "Maya, darling, this isn't the time." "No?" I held up the letter. "Because I think Grandpa Hank thought it was exactly the right time." Silence swept through the crowd like a summer storm rolling in fast. I unfolded the letter with shaking fingers and started reading before anyone could stop me. "To my granddaughter Maya, if you're reading this, it means you've lived too long in the shadow of people who never deserved to cast it. You're the only one who remembers this land for what it is. A home, not a business deal. And that's why I'm leaving the ranch to you. Not to Victor. Not to his children, to you." There was more, but I didn't need to finish. Victor's glass slipped from his hand and shattered against the stone patio. That sound, that tiny, perfect moment, was the loudest thing I'd heard all day. You knew, didn't you? I turned to him. That's why you dragged me around like some mascot for your charity events. Why you kept me smiling for the cameras while you lined up buyers to turn this ranch into a boutique resort. His face went pale, but it was Wendy who spoke up first, her voice sharp and bitter. Oh, don't be so dramatic. Do you really think some handwritten letter changes anything? There's a legal will. Filed and finalized. You think Hank didn't update his affairs when he realized who the real family was? I swear, if looks could kill, she'd have turned me to ash on the spot. But then Victor did something I'll never forget. He laughed, this hollow, humorless laugh that echoed across the garden. Maya, he said, straightening his shoulders like he still held every card. You've always been a sentimental girl, but this isn't a movie. This is real life. And in real life, paper means nothing without a lawyer's signature. That's when the real punch to the gut came. My cousin Brandon, Victor's golden boy, the one groomed to take over the family empire, stepped forward, waving his phone. She doesn't have a legal leg to stand on, he said smugly. Dad's lawyer updated the will last month. The ranch goes to me. Signed, notarized, airtight. It hit me like a fist to the ribs. They'd planned this. Locked me out before the ink was even dry. But just as the humiliation crested, something else clicked into place. A conversation I'd overheard years ago between Grandpa Hank and Victor, late at night by the fire pit. Blood doesn't make family, Victor. And money doesn't make a man honest. I turned to Wendy, my heart pounding like a war drum. Tell me something, I said, my voice low but steady. If you're so sure about that updated will, why did Grandpa keep this letter hidden? Why didn't he tell anyone? She faltered, just for a second. But that was all I needed. Because if you're the kind of person who wins clean, you don't need to hide the finish line. And here's the kicker. The thing that none of them knew yet. In the bottom of that cedar chest, there wasn't just a letter. There was a USB drive. And what's on that drive? Let's just say, it's going to turn their airtight little world inside out. I barely slept that night. I sat on the floor of that old shed, the cedar chest still open beside me, the smell of dust and old wood thick in the air. My mind kept circling the same impossible question. Why would Grandpa Hank hide this? Why a letter and a USB drive? By dawn, I couldn't take it anymore. I grabbed my laptop, plugged the drive in, and waited as the folder slowly loaded. There was only one video file, titled simply, The Truth. I hit play. The screen flickered, then steadied. Grandpa Hank sat in his old leather chair by the stone fireplace, his hands folded in his lap, his voice low but clear. If you're watching this, kiddo, I'm probably long gone. And if I know this family, you're probably fighting for a place they never really wanted you to have. So, it's time someone told you the whole truth. My chest tightened. I could feel something coming, something I wasn't ready for. This ranch, this land, it was never meant to be a business. Your grandmother and I built this as a sanctuary, a place for family, real family. But over the years, it's become something else. And there's one thing Victor's never told you, something none of them want you to know. He leaned forward, his eyes sharper than I'd ever seen them. Victor isn't just trying to sell this land, Maya. He's already sold it, months ago, to a private investment group. They're planning to level it, build a luxury golf resort and spa right where you used to chase fireflies. My heart dropped straight into my stomach. That so-called legacy announcement? It's not about keeping the family together. It's his retirement deal. And the reason he's rushing this whole will thing is because the demolition starts in 2 weeks. I felt physically sick. He sold the ranch before any of this even started. While he paraded me around his charity events, while he had me standing next to him like some decorative accessory. The deal was already done. Everything about this cookout, this family gathering, it was all theater. One last performance before they bulldozed the only real home I ever knew. But then Grandpa's voice dropped even lower, and what he said next hit me harder than anything before. And there's something else, Maya. Something personal. I didn't put it in any will because I wanted you to hear it from me, not a lawyer. Victor isn't just your uncle. My entire body went cold. He's your father. I swear the room spun. My head buzzed so loud I could barely hear the rest. It was a mistake your mom regretted every day of her life. She kept it from you to protect you from him. But I can't leave this world knowing you never heard the truth. I slammed the laptop shut, my hands trembling so hard I could barely breathe. Victor. The man who spent my entire life treating me like a charity project, a burden, a living reminder of everything he despised about his brother, was my father. And he knew. He knew all along. He stood there yesterday, watching me burn with humiliation, knowing the truth, and still letting Wendy call me a charity case. Still letting me believe I was nothing more than a pity invite to his perfect little social circle. How do you even process something like that? How do you come back from realizing the man who spent years pushing you aside, ignoring your existence, was the one person who should have loved you most? I'm not telling this story for pity. God knows I've had enough of that word for a lifetime. But if you're out there reading this, if you've ever felt like a background character in your own family, like you were just a guest in a home that should have been yours, I just want you to know. You're not alone, and you damn sure don't have to stay silent. The next time you hear from me, I'll be standing on that ranch. One last time, deciding for myself what to burn down and what to save. And this time, I'm lighting the match. It's funny how the smallest details stick with you when your whole world is about to flip upside down. For me, it was the way Victor's glass always had exactly 2 ice cubes. Never more, never less. Even as his empire crumbled, he still clung to that tiny illusion of control. But this time, he wasn't the one holding the glass. I was. And I was about to make damn sure he never forgot it. The day of the legacy ceremony arrived faster than I expected. The family gathered at the ranch for one last show. Cameras everywhere. Local news stations buzzing about Victor Haynes passing the torch and preserving his beloved family legacy. No one knew the deal had already been inked to turn the land into a luxury golf resort. No one except me. And Grandpa Hank, even from the grave, had armed me with more than just a dusty old letter. That USB drive? It wasn't just some sentimental goodbye. It had everything. Contract drafts, private emails between Victor and the developers, a recorded call where Victor literally said, "I don't give a damn about the land. Sell the sob story for the press. We're cashing out." I spent the whole night before the ceremony uploading it to a private link. Then I scheduled an email blast. To every major journalist, every environmental watchdog group, and every single person who ever donated to Victor's phony Save the Land fund. The emails were timed to hit inboxes the exact moment Victor stepped on stage. I stood off to the side, watching it unfold like I wasn't even part of it. Victor walked onto that platform in his tailored linen suit, all slow charm and practiced humility. "My friends," he started, his voice rich and dripping with false sincerity. "This land has been the heart of our family for generations." Bing phones started buzzing. A few people checked their screens. Then more. And then, like a domino line crashing down, a wave of confused murmurs rippled through the crowd. Victor paused. His smile faltered for just a second. And then it happened. The big screen behind him, supposed to be playing a slideshow of family photos, flickered. And instead, that recording played. Victor's voice, clear as day. "Just push the narrative. Cry if you have to. These people eat that stuff up." The collective gasp from the crowd was loud enough to make the birds scatter from the oak trees. Victor turned pale. His mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. I stepped forward, ice in my veins. That familiar burn of humiliation from every past family gathering now turned into something sharp, controlled. I think it's time the family heard the real legacy speech, I said, holding up Grandpa Hank's letter. Victor tried to grab the mic, but before he could reach me, security, yes, his own security, blocked him. Turns out, even loyalty has a price, and I'd made sure they saw the same evidence before the event. But just as I felt the adrenaline peak, just as I tasted the sweet, cold satisfaction of revenge, the twist came, from the last person I expected. My mother. She stepped out from the crowd, tears in her eyes but her chin held high. "Maya," she started, her voice cracking. "There's something you don't know, something Grandpa never told you either." My heart stopped cold. Her eyes darted to Victor, then back to me. "I lied to you your entire life," she whispered. "About your father. Victor isn't him. Your real father. He was never told about you. And he's here. Today." I turned, scanning the crowd with a sickening lurch in my stomach. And then I saw him, standing at the edge of the clearing, just beyond the crowd. A face I didn't recognize, but eyes that looked exactly like mine. If you're still here reading this, I don't even know how to process what just happened. But if you've ever felt like your entire life was built on lies, trust me, you're not the only one. And sometimes, the truth is heavier than all the lies combined. I don't know what comes next, but I'm about to find out. There are moments in life when time doesn't just slow down. It stops. For me, it was standing there in that clearing, the crowd frozen in stunned silence, and a stranger, my real father, standing just a few feet away. I didn't even feel my feet move. 1 second, I was rooted to the ground. The next, I was standing in front of him. His voice broke the silence before I could speak. "Maya, I've been looking for you my whole life." And just like that, every bitter question I'd carried for years, why didn't he come for me? Why wasn't I enough? Evaporated. Because sometimes the truth isn't what people hide. It's what they're denied the chance to know. But before I could fall apart completely, a loud crash snapped everyone's attention back to the stage. Victor had thrown the mic stand to the ground, his face contorted with the rage of a man who'd lost everything. "My legacy," he screamed, his voice hoarse and wild. "You think you can destroy everything I built? Over what? Old grudges and childish mistakes?" I walked back toward him, slow and deliberate, the entire crowd parting like water. "No, Victor," I said, my voice clear, loud enough for every journalist and camera present to capture. "You destroyed yourself the moment you decided this family was just another brand to manage." Security stepped in, but Victor didn't fight them. His shoulders sagged under the weight of his own arrogance, the man who once controlled every room now reduced to a headline waiting to happen. And trust me, that headline hit fast. By the next morning, every major outlet had picked up the story. Fraud investigations were launched into his fake charity fund. The resort developers backed out to avoid the scandal. His own board of directors forced him out, citing irreparable reputational damage. But the real punishment? He had to watch the one person he spent years trying to erase, me, stand tall and take back what he tried to sell out from under me. As for the ranch, I didn't sell it. I didn't bulldoze it for revenge. I turned it into exactly what Grandpa Hank always dreamed it could be. A real sanctuary. Not for show, not for headlines. For people who just needed a place to feel seen. And every time the wind rustles through those old oak trees, I swear I hear Grandpa laughing. Victor, he disappeared from public life. Last I heard, he's living quietly somewhere in Arizona, nursing his bitterness and wondering where it all went wrong. Funny thing is, I don't hate him anymore. Because nothing destroys a man faster than the walls he builds to keep others out. Final thought. Some wars aren't won with louder voices or bigger fists. Sometimes you win simply by standing where they swore you'd never belong. If this hit close to home, or if you've fought your own quiet battles against people who tried to write you out of your own story, share it below. You never know who needs to hear that it's okay to take your power back. And hey, If you're still here after all this, maybe stick around. Some stories don't end. They just start a new chapter.